If you are providing good quality education, even if it is at a premium, there will be takers.
Yeah. I've also seen racism.
Very dishonest of me to turn back and say, oh, absolutely not.
Deserving Indian candidates or international candidates not getting promoted.
I don't see UK universities doing marketing that way or thinking that way. Every country, every society will have some negative elements to it. Delhi is not a safe city for women. And I'll just go back to where we started, where I was talking about my background, small town, coming into Delhi.
Welcome to the yet another podcast of the Living Pod by Saurabh. So today's episode is powered by Vita Student, which is a premium student living partner all across UK. They're also in Leeds, they're also in London, all across. They're around 20 plus cities and so many sites they have. And they are very synonymous to not only premium student living. So premium is not expensive. Premium means it should be value for money, it should be safe, secure, it should be well located, and it should be a community-driven accommodation. And that is also aligned with university living. And that's also aligned with today's guest, because she's not, which is just preaching or promoting study abroad or a particular university or a particular country. She has been living it. Even I get more emphasize that how she walked down to bylanes of Maharashtra and Punjab and all the market which most of people don't try to cover it up. But because she's in the industry for 26 years, yes, many of you probably are not 26. So on that note, let me introduce today's guest, which is Mrs. Jayashree. Ma'am, how are you?
I am very well. Thank you very much for this very warm welcome. And I'm very excited to be here on this non-scripted conversation.
26 years promoting study abroad or promoting education or promoting how someone can transform their life. How does that started?
Okay, I'll be happy to do that. And so, yes, let me start where the 26 years started. So I had a natural draw for education. And the reason for that is not because I was a very good student. I was a very average student. But the natural draw for education came from my background, my family, because both my parents were in education. My father was a professor of economics. My mother was a librarian for more than 40 years. So there was this, and I was born on a campus, college campus. Oh. I lived on a college campus till I was 19 years old. So surrounded by academics, surrounded by students and classrooms. In fact, right from when we were in school, we would come back from school and go straight to the library and do our homework in a college library.
You were going to school to college?
Yes, yes, school to college.
Even when you were in school?
Yes, yes. So there was this natural draw to education. And I had this intention of becoming a professor or a teacher or a lecturer in a college, because I had done a small stint of that before I came to Delhi from Maharashtra.
So you're from Maharashtra?
I am from Maharashtra. So yes, I grew up in Maharashtra, and one fine day I got up and I said, I want to do a job in Delhi. And so I came here, and after doing a few years in sales and marketing.
Allow me to hold you here.
Sure.
So where in Maharashtra?
So I come from a small town called Ahmednagar.
Okay.
A lot of people may have not heard of Ahmednagar. But it is about 100 kilometers from Pune.
Which campus was it where you got born and lived?
So this was a college called Ahmednagar College, affiliated to University of Pune. So yes, that is where I was. And I was drawn to education because I've been surrounded by that all my life.
What was that your moment of, chalo Delhi chalte hain?
Chalo Delhi chalte hain. It is just me. शाम को मैं कह सकती हूँ कि चलो कहीं चलते हैं somewhere to. So it was, I guess, an impulse decision which I've never regretted. But when I think a little bit more about it, basically because Ahmednagar did not have job opportunities. Small town,
and when was
still
this?
A small town.
What was the year?
Oh, this was a long time ago. This was in the year 1991.
Oh, very instrumental year.
Yes.
I mean, I guess the face of India started changing from 1991.
Yes.
And I would say the even your career part started in 1991.
Yes, in a way it did. And so yes, I was here in Delhi, and I didn't get straight into education. I did a few years of sales and marketing. I sold electronic typewriters. I sold
Wow.
fax machines.
So you were that Will Smith of Pursue Happiness.
It's beginning to sound like that to my own ears. It's beginning to sound like that.
I'm sure you've watched that movie many times, and that's one of my favorite movies. And that moment, when he sold the first that X-ray machine or that.
Yes.
So you have those kind of experiences?
I have a lot of experiences. So for me, yes, that was a great transition. Not only was I coming from Maharashtra into North India, but I was coming from a really small town where everybody knew everybody to the big bad city. So huge transition, huge learning curve. And I went straight into sales and marketing. So as everybody knows,
but why
sales and marketing is
easier to get a job. It's a hard to retain a job in sales marketing. I mean, that's a general perception or a conception or misconception. What's your take on it?
On sales and marketing?
Yeah, because you were into academics and you were a lecturer, as you mentioned, or into
I had a small
teaching.
stint of teaching before I came here. I don't think, well, sales and marketing, like any other job, I mean, you got to have the focus. You got to have the skills, and companies do a lot to train you for the skills that you require.
But are you saying that anyone can do sales?
I guess you need to have a liking for your job. So if you have a liking for me,
but liking to karne se aati hai na. I never thought that I'd start a company and business. That's what happened, right? But even I never thought that I will do a job because किसी ने करी नहीं, मैंने घर पे देखा ही नहीं. So when I was doing my undergrad from Delhi University, economics honors, my first aim was to get a job. यहाँ पे मैं टाई पहन के जाऊँ और मैं सीपी जाऊँ और वहाँ पे काम करूँ, बैंकिंग करूँ या कुछ करूँ. So that was my first thing. But liking mostly करने से आती है या फिर experience से पता चलता है करना है कि नहीं करना. That's my view. What's your view?
Well, yes, I agree to that as well. So, I mean, if I reflect back on my experience, I mean, whether I like it or no, I used to do the job to pay my bills. It was that straight.
And did you fight with your family to come to Delhi?
Did I fight with my family? No, my family was pretty open. So, okay, you want to go to Delhi, you go to Delhi and find out what it is like there. So, no, I did not have that hurdle. I had plenty of hurdles after coming here.
Okay.
Yes. So yes, sales and marketing for a few years before I decided I had enough of sales and marketing. And if I can just circle back to something which you asked me about, do you need to like sales or marketing? As that thought is in my mind, I'm also of the thoughts that everybody needs some sales and marketing skills.
Totally.
Everybody.
Totally.
Whether you're in accounts or you are an animator or whatever, but you need to have those skills. So
बनाना के साथ से बेचना आना बहुत जरूरी है. जो बिकेगा ही नहीं.
Yes. So yes. So that's about sales and marketing. And then education. You were asking me about how I came into this line. So I was drawn to education, and after I think about 5 or 6 years of working in sales and marketing and selling all various things, like I said, fax machine, even office furniture I have sold, I decided, okay, let me try and go back to my roots and try and look for a job as a lecturer. So I gave interviews at various universities in Delhi to become a lecturer. I did not do well. So I did not get a job as a lecturer.
But you need to have a degree or a certain qualification or eligibility
Though I think those were different days. To have a master's degree was enough, and I had a
Okay.
master's degree. I did my MBA, but I did my bachelor's in microbiology.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
So one day I read an ad of an Australian university, and I had no clue that there's an entire industry based on students wanting to study abroad. So I read that ad, and of course, it wasn't the day of the internet or anything like that. Those were the days we used to cut out the ads, look at it, and then walk around looking for the.
no Google Maps also.
No Google Maps.
So you
no.
literally wear good clothes.
Yes.
And you go on an auto or a bus or rickshaw or whatever car, and then you park it and you literally sweat it.
Yes, sweat it.
I have done that, and I was in 2006, but you were even earlier than that.
Yes. So I went looking for this place and I walked into it, and it was an agent's office. And I walked into that agent's office and I said, "Do you teach here?" So this is Prem and Kapoor Associates.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yes. So do you have classes here for an Australian university? So they said, "No, we don't do that, but this is what we do." And it so happens they were looking for somebody there. So I said, "No, I'm really not interested in sending students abroad or counseling students. No, I don't want to do that. I want to be a teacher." So somehow that conversation with Mr. Kapoor, it led him to convincing me that this will be a good idea too. And there were also some plans, that maybe there's a campus that might open up. And so that was also shared with me. And so I was like, okay, I don't have a job. I'll do this for some time and then move on.
Yeah.
And I think I found my niche at that point.
And this was in 2000 or 19?
This was in 99. And I worked for that company then for 5 years.
How was it? Tell me. I mean, I never met Mr. Kapoor. Seema Malhotra.
Yes. Yes.
Of,
these were
independent education counselors,
yes.
right?
Yes.
But how was Mr. Kapoor? Are they still working?
Oh, very much. Very much.
Tell me more
very
about
much so.
Those 5 years.
So it was a fantastic experience. I think I learned a lot there. It was also the time when UK universities had just started entering the market. So I had the opportunity to introduce the Indian market to quite a few universities who at that point, Mr. Kapoor again was one of the pioneers for UK education and Australian education. So there were a number of UK universities that would approach him for guidance, and he would. So I had an opportunity, I had a ringside view of a large number of universities coming into India for the initial time. Back in those days, people would come, attend the British Council Fair, and then probably come back next year. So I've seen the journey of many of those universities.
You would have started
coming
market
back.
entry, no?
Okay.
You didn't get a entrepreneur mindset like me. Otherwise, it was a perfect time to start a market entry, and you did that role any which way.
Yes, I agree. It was a perfect time to start the market entry, but I guess we're all wired differently. And not only did I find my niche in terms of counseling students and helping them to study abroad, but I also, found at Prem and Kapoor Associates is when I got the opportunity to start working with Leeds Beckett University. So my connection with them started right from there.
And this is exactly what I tell everyone. And I take a moment. So this is, I say, nothing go wasted. Only thing wasted when you keep thinking, right? Even 2-3 years, if we try something it didn't work out, or if we start a role which you don't, let's say either you choose a good company or you choose a good role, but irrespective, start. So okay, then you got introduced to Leeds Beckett University.
That is right. So I used to work very closely with Leeds Beckett University at the agency. And then eventually, Leeds Beckett University then, of course, wanted to have a more permanent presence, a larger scale of work that we would like to do. So, and therefore, then we set up an office
this was in 2004.
India. This was in 2004.
So you are the first one or one of the first one to have a standalone permanent establishment.
There were very few offices, with universities with permanent presence.
Tell me,
there.
what is the permanent establishment? Why they are market entries? Why, like, because there is a one aspect, and the beauty of this industry is it's so layered. When I feel, oh, I know it all now, and then like I come across something, acha, ye bhi model hai.
Yeah.
Acha, there's
Yeah.
GUS also, there captain also, there GEDU also, there INTU also, and
Yes.
then there is pathways also. So similarly, why permanent establishment? Why people use market entries? Why after a point in time they either set up their permanent establishment or they continue to? So how market or universities operate on this level?
So I think whether it's an independent setup, something like we have,
Like
or it is through one of the players who has
market entries,
yes, the market entry companies. Whether it is that the intention of the universities is not that dissimilar. So the intention is to set up a permanent presence in India. The intention is to have a better hold of the market. And also the intention is to not only focus on recruitment. I would say most of the universities who have a presence here, it is to look at larger things. So which may fall outside the
market
preview of
entry.
your, yes. So have a larger thing. So, you look at partnerships, you look at alumni relationships, and you look at a lot of things which are sometimes go beyond just recruitment and how many students come in and building your brand. And I'll give you a very good example of that. Again, referring to an example of our university, Leeds Beckett University. So we have academic partnerships, yes, but we also have partnerships with charitable organizations where we look at giving something back to India. So we have an organization called Snehalaya, which is an organization that works for children who are affected by AIDS. So that is their primary work, but then there's a lot of things that around that as well. So we do volunteering. There are students come from the UK. They have volunteering sessions there. Our students from the UK, they come here and they get to learn a lot about what real India is like, what India is like at the grassroots levels. So an organization like ours, where we are independently sitting there, yes, our bread and butter is recruitment, but there is a lot beyond that also, which perhaps is not that easily seen, but it gives us a lot of depth.
Is it right to assume that eventually, and I'm not trying to judge anyone or put anyone's spot. See, eventually, you need numbers to promote and sustain lots of your objectives. As you rightly mentioned, at least I'm so glad that you didn't, pardon my language, beat me on the bush that, oh, we want to give it back to society. We need to do so much for India or Indian students, or another day it's a long carved strategy that if I want to attract good quality students and also would like to have a influence or impact with academia, universities, government, policymakers, and then integrate deeper with other stakeholders, whether it's industrial relationships, which eventually will benefit my students when they come back. They will be more recognized, or Leeds Beckett, which eventually get LBU more recognized. It's a well carved long term strategy.
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong to it. I believe I get with people, we were like, oh, we are for charitable company, we are non-profitable company, but eventually, rather than having a arm distance relationships, and I believe I would prefer and appreciate something like this, wherein we are clear. See, we need numbers, but numbers will not happen if we don't invest in a country, in people, in the economy and relationships. And once that happens, our numbers will increase. Our numbers are going to increase because probably we focus more on student alumni, we focus on industrial relationships, wherein our students get recognized, get better jobs, which in turn will create a vicious circle.
Yeah. The view that you expressed is a little narrower.
Okay.
Uh,
Please correct.
than what the broader internationalization of a university is all about. And again, I repeat, yes, we need the recruitment. And yes, that is, our unit's bread and butter, the international recruitment. Our unit meaning the office that is set up and so on. However, the broader view of internationalization is not only bringing our international students to the campus, but it is also about exposure of the home students to international. So those are also part of our goals. So we were talking about having an independent setup like this. So we are also, along with our recruitment, we also work very hard towards that. So we bring in summer school students here. Last year, we brought in law students, our British students, our law students. They got an exposure of the Supreme Court here. We partnered with the Symbiosis Law School for that. So they were here they were attending sessions at the Supreme Court. Similarly, we bring our business students here. We are planning to bring our sports students here to have an experience of the Mumbai Marathon in January 2026. So this is a broader part of our role.
Very important.
And therefore, it is important, then to have this independent presence where, yes, you're working for recruitment, but you're also working for beyond the holistic internationalization of the university.
Isn't also a kind of narrative wherein broader internationalization of university, getting more exposure to home universities by having exchange programs both ways. Is it also because then the local government support universities, get bigger lands, get more subsidiaries, get more support? Is that right way of thinking?
Local universities, meaning universities in India?
In UK?
Oh, in the UK? No, I think it is about employability.
Then, okay.
We all want our employability to be right up there. And a lot of work is done around employability. And India is an important player in the world market now, in the world economics now. And therefore, if the home students are getting an exposure to the Indian economy and the Indian setup, that increases their employability. I mean, Saurabh, just like we say to our students, if you go abroad, if you get the exposure, if you do, meet so many different people, different cultures, so and so, and you come back, you will be more employable. Now, why should that not apply to a home student? Some of our British students have actually said it's been a life-changing experience for them coming to India. I have met students who have had a short duration here, maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and yet they have come back saying it has been life-changing for them. So even a short experience like this here, has made a great difference to students.
Beautifully put. I always believe that people say, हम तो society के लिए कर रहे हैं, हम तो impact के लिए कर रहे हैं. In the morning, I was talking to one of the founder, and I asked him, like, he gone to IPO, he's already doing very well, one of the largest company. I'm like, yeah, now you're talking impact, this and that, and he just mentioned one thing. I'm like, makes sense. It's all about Maslow hierarchy. When you have achieved your basics,
yes,
then you will talk about impact. You will work for impact because आप तो एक level तक grow करोगे ना. उसके बाद तो रुपया is just another zero which can be used for betterment. So got your point.
Can I tell you a story, Saurabh?
Please, ma'am.
A colleague of mine, she was called Catherine Pearson. So she came to India for a recruitment and promotion visit. And we happened to go to this charitable organization that we are now closely associated with.
Yeah.
So we visited there. It impacted her so much that when she went back to the UK on an away day, as they have in the UK, you talk about, you were supposed to talk about something that impacted you in that year. So she talked about Snehalaya. Now, the very, very unfortunate part of it, and she talked very powerfully, clearly, I was not there, but everybody was moved. And she could put across, what it works for, and how far removed from all what our daily activities are. They're so far removed from what some of the reality of India is. And unfortunately, she passed away a week later. And of course, one of the last memories of hers was talking about Snehalaya. And she left that impact even at her home. And her daughter was only 13 years old then. I went to see the family after she passed away. I met her daughter, and her daughter said to me that I've heard my mother talk about this. I'd like to come to India. So I said, of course, you're most welcome. And of course, the father said, only when you turn 18. And one would have thought, in 5 years, things will fade away.
Yeah.
When she turned 18, she came. And she worked at came to work at Snehalaya for about a couple of months or so. Clearly, it made a big difference to her, made an impact on her. She returned to the UK. On the bus, she met somebody, started a conversation. Where did you go? Where were you? She talked about this place. This person who was with her on the bus said, oh, I must visit this place next time I'm in India. And he did. And this I'm talking about, the year would be probably 2010 or 11. Because I remember my colleague passed away in 2005. So this person came to Snehalaya and visited from this conversation in the bus. And he never left. He's been working in Snehalaya for the last decade or so. Now, that's the long-lasting impact I'm talking about.
Interesting.
So,
Yeah.
It's about all of this. And there are a few stories like this. And yet we've been around for a long time to be able to nurture these kind of relationships, to be able to develop these kind of relationships, to be able to do these things. So this is not the only story, and there are other stories like that where life-changing things have happened because of all these. Ultimately, what is every business saying? We're all developing relationships. We're all doing various things. So there you are. We are a university here, but we're also developing relationships here in India.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting. So are you planning what is everyone's trying launching Indian campus? Are you planning working on it? What's your view on transnational and transnational TNEs, and and then what's your view on current announcements of lots of universities trying to or having their campus in India?
Currently, we do not have these plans on our board to set up a campus in India. But yes, we are looking at the other
Exploring.
universities, and the trend
Wait
that
and
is
watch,
now
yeah.
happening.
Why
So it's
why
interesting.
this is happening?
Well, why is it happening? I think again that is the internationalization strategy of some of the universities. Maybe in a world where mobility doesn't look that easy, it may be part of the strategy now to, instead of bringing students to us, we go to the students. So that could be the most obvious reason why it is happening.
And how we have seen this, because I was reading some reports and doing some research. Wherever TNE or wherever these campuses have been opened, like Malaysia and all, they've never been profitable.
So again, TNE is a different concept, and opening the campus here is a different concept.
What is the difference?
So TNE would mean that you do part of your education here and part of the education in the UK. So it's
That's like
transnational, it's twinning, and all
but
of that.
even if,
articulation.
valid point. But even like few of the universities who have offshore campuses,
Yes.
those offshore campuses are not profitable. Is it also because the purpose is not to be profitable? it's more to do with relationship between two countries. It's more to do with, you know, like learning the best practice and innovations and science and, you know, from each other. Or because if I talk from number point, if I put my founder hat, you know, when you put those kind of millions and billions, it needs to be justified, need to be a PNL, you know. But
Yeah.
with my limited understanding,
Yeah.
and I was talking to a few people who were probably were not convinced of these models getting successful in India, or it had not been in other countries. Your view?
So I'll talk about the TNE first, because we left that a little
please.
incomplete.
Please.
So I think TNE can have a great future in India.
I agree.
So doing some of the education here and going, it's already taken off. We have also stepped in that space. So TNE,
You have one with
have,
Gujarat University.
yes, we have a TNE with GLS in Ahmedabad. So you know, that looks like that will be something big for the future.
How
Then-
does that work? Like student study undergrad here, and then 2 years study there. The 1 year they go to Leeds Beckett.
Okay.
that-
Well, they could study 1 year here and then come to Leeds Beckett for 2 years.
And that's
So-
a win-win, you know, because
It's a
students get
win-win.
to study here and then they know the path to one of the good university is smooth, you know, and also verified, qualified student for university, you know, and they student don't need to spend 3 years, you know, and
Yes.
it's win-win, right?
Yes. Oh, yes. I mean, the student spends a lot
downside
less.
to this? Any experience with any downside, or not with only like
Uh-huh.
in your case, but
Mhm.
you've been, you know, that's a benefit. You know, you've been in the space so long that you have seen lots of peer groups and other people doing something and learning or probably suggesting some. So, what can be a downside to this?
For TNE, to be honest, there is no,
No
downside.
downside.
I can think of. It gives a nice soft launch to the students into British education. You know, they start learning about a different method of education in the comfort of their home, and then, you know, it's a soft launch, and then they go travel abroad. So for TNE, I don't really see a downside. Moving on to the next part of what you were talking about, as far as the offshore campus is concerned, and, you know, about the Indian scenario, about whether it's going to be feasible or sustainable. I think it's still early to say, because we've just stepped into it.
It's been like 2-3 years.
Campuses are just opening now.
Oh, that,
I
this one,
think,
yeah. I was talking about TNE, like your
yeah,
is-
no, TNE. TNE also, we just launched it last year. Yes.
Okay.
So, so yes,
Offshore,
so the offshore campuses, yeah. So that is just started. So it is just too early to say, and I doubt whether any of the universities are here with a short-term vision, right? Whatever has started, it is without doubt has to be a long-term thing. So I'm sure that has been well calculated, and it builds. And the other thing that comes to mind when you look at offshore campus is that we were talking about demand and supply earlier, and our demand for good quality education versus the supply of good quality education. Do the math.
Yeah.
If you are providing good quality education, even if it is at a premium, there will be takers.
Yeah.
The key is good quality education.
Agree. And just for audience and everyone, that even if you don't want to go abroad, you need to go abroad. You know, because there are 1,200 universities in India, and that too when it's a very stable, progressive government, which is opening IIMs, IIT all across India. Still, there are 40 million students, 1,200 universities. Even and now with these twinning programs, articulations, TNE, it's been so easy and it's so structured that if you don't want to go all 4 years, 3 years, you can go for like 1 year or 2 years. If you don't want to go for undergrad, go for postgrad. If you don't want to do your postgrad, you know, in fact, I am the firm believer that do your undergrad, work for 2-3 years and then think whether you need under postgrad or you don't need to do postgrad. Don't just be a herd mentality that, if my peer groups are doing undergrad, I also want to go abroad and do undergrad. If there are people who have gone to postgrad after undergrad, not necessarily you also need that, because everyone evolve and everyone's situation so different. So education is individual. That's why I keep saying that all the education counselors are not Foster, and not everyone is great. So you need to do your research. You were talking about offshore. I have a first complete your thought, then I have
Mhm.
another question on the same point. So offshore, it's too early.
Yeah, it's
too
too
early.
early to
But how you see this trend? Is trend expanding? It make
Well,
sense.
it's clearly that
It's not
there
marketing
are
gimmick.
more. Sorry,
It's not marketing gimmick. But the investment too much.
but it can't be a marketing gimmick. Yeah, it's a lot
But
of
for
investment
for university can be.
for a university.
For few, like
For
we are
few
probably they're like,
universities.
okay, we are exploring to come to India,
Mhm.
which probably give them a short term shot in the arm. No.
I don't see UK universities doing marketing that way or thinking that way.
Hmm.
I don't see that. Across, I mean, I can speak for the sector perhaps, if I may take the liberty to do so. I don't think people would do that just as a marketing gimmick. Nor
It will impact
UK
the
universities would not. Yes,
Hmm.
yes, it would ultimately impact the brand.
And what is why people are going to Gift City and then they are like Southampton campus
Yes.
who's doing with,
Yeah.
is it called University Grant Commission or University Commission Grant? It's
UGC.
UGC.
Hmm.
I always get puzzle out. So what is the difference between Gift City and UCC, and why people are doing? I mean, either they are going after Gift City or they are going after UCC.
So, Gift City, I understand. I've not done a deep study in it, but Gift City does offer some advantages
Benefits.
as an establishment there.
Taxation benefits.
Yes, taxation. And
there's a certain courses which you can teach in Gift City, which is more financial.
correct.
You know.
Correct.
Yeah.
So those are those advantages for that, as opposed to some universities that are establishing independent campuses in Gurgaon, and I think there's a proposal now in Mumbai. So clearly, I think it depends on what the goals of the university are. So while Gift City may offer some advantages, maybe there are some limitations as well there. For some, location matters. And Mumbai or Gurgaon as a location may not compare to Gift City within Gujarat. And that is just a thought in my head. That could be one thing. While others weigh the advantages of Gift City as as a location advantage and so on. So it all depends.
Why UK? Because you've been UK champion, right? And you are a study world champion, and then UK specifically. Why UK versus Australia or US or any other country?
Okay. First, I must say nobody's ever called me a UK champion. I like it.
26 years promoting
I like
a country.
I like it.
As university.
it
I mean, I don't see you as a Leeds Beckett.
Right.
Though I'm sure you bleed Leeds
I
Beckett.
bleed
What color is Leeds Beckett?
purple.
So
I
you
bleed
bleed purple. But when you're in the industry
yes.
and a country, part of the country, so you've been part of delegations. You've been probably on panels and talking to decision makers, both sides. So,
You are
चाहकर भी
spot on when you say UK champion. My heart
I'm
is
giving you, like to Ravi sir, Sushil, I'm giving that nickname, na OG.
all
So
right.
now
The
for
OGs.
you are a UK champion.
Yeah. So my heart is torn when India and England are playing, isn't it?
So you support UK.
So why UK? Well, tradition. That's number one. For what? Now you can say decades and perhaps centuries. We've had
The exchange culture.
Yes, yes. That we have actually, for knowledge, people have gone there.
We have inherited lots of culture, innovations, and and exchanges between India and UK, and
Yes.
there's always apart from a strategic location benefit, apart from all those 200, 300-year old institutions, and then lots of our history, for good or bad, have been written by lots of
Yes.
UKites. So,
Yes.
so there is a natural
Affinity.
affinity and
Yeah.
also natural progression
Yes.
towards India UK education.
There is. So education in the UK has been a tradition, and that is what I think naturally draws our Indians to UK education as well.
It's
The
cheaper
UK,
and compared to study in US. If I compare UK to US,
yes, yes,
it's close by.
yes, absolutely. I mean, yes, you're again spot on. Location, it is not that far away. While some of the other countries can seem really far away. And I don't know if the students realize it before they go, but definitely once they are there, the fact that it is truly multicultural in every aspect helps them to be comfortable there, and living there is quite straightforward for our Indian students.
You are
don't
totally in love with UK, so let me wear a hat which probably challenge you, because
Okay.
see, deep inside I also like UK is back of my hand.
Yeah.
UK is our strongest
yes.
market. I study from UK.
Yeah.
My co-founder study from UK, so I also bleed UK. Definitely, there's a heritage. There's a
Yeah.
given synergies. Baggage, good, bad, ugly. You mentioned multicultural. I've also seen racism, deserving Indian candidates or international candidates not getting promoted
Mhm.
because of a certain, not every, but certain kind of cultural.
Mhm. This is something that a query that we very often are asked by students, and it would be very dishonest of me to turn back and say, "Oh, absolutely not." That is not the case. However, what I tell the students, what I'm saying to you now, and what I honestly have experienced and I know, is that every country, every society will have some negative elements to it. Right? For example, you hear a lot of things about India, about, let's say, Delhi not being, I think a perfect example is Delhi is not a safe city for women.
Right.
And I'll just go back to where we started, where I was talking about my background, small town, coming into big bad city of Delhi. Everybody would ask me, "Oh my God, you live alone in Delhi. It's so unsafe for women. It's so unsafe for women." But does that every organization I've worked for, all the friends I've made, or all the life that I've made in Delhi is made on the basis of really some brilliant people who have changed my life for the good. And yet Delhi is an unsafe city for women. Right?
Right.
You can't say it's a very safe city for women, yet it is.
I mean, there are some cases
there
which
is
happen.
an element. There is an element of that. So I compare that to the UK. There is an element of that. Yeah.
Okay,
but you can make your life by meeting the right people, the good people, to navigate around it, to be able to make your mark.
क्योंकि मेरा खुद मैं सबको ये कन्वे करता हूँ, it's not about country, it's not about society, it's about us. Sorry, but I'll be honest here. Even when a South Indian comes to India, or in North India, there is a certain kind of racism.
There is.
And similarly, when North Indian goes to South India, there is a certain kind of racism. And in more than racism, is their kind of culture, and you like act the way we are acting, because that's normal, right? Similarly, when our Indians don't go into UK or UK, why we call Gora, why we call Friyang, that's racism.
Yeah.
Right. So when it comes, and I also say that I'm always a hero of my story, I'm always right. So it's worldwide. It's not in UK, it's not in India, it's in Australia, it's in and then it's dependent upon person to person. If someone is coming to my office, I would expect him to follow my protocols, to respect my culture nuances, and then in return you will also get a same treatment once you are respecting. So this is to all the students. there is no racism in the world and there is racism everywhere. So it depends upon how you're acting. Similarly, you will get a reaction.
But what you said, Saurabh, is very true, and I 100% agree to it, that sometimes it is perceived racism rather than real racism. So it is what you are perceiving. I'll give you my own example. Probably my first visit to the UK or something like that. I had no clue. I had never traveled abroad before that.
Right.
And here we are used to, you check into a hotel, somebody will help you, so on and so forth. So I was in this hotel. It was a small little inn kind of a place. And I had gone shopping and I was carrying many bags. And while at the back, of course, I knew of certain things like you don't have people to carry your bags and all that. And I was getting late for a meeting. So I rushed into the reception. I left my bags there and I said, "Can you place them in my room, please?" And the only reason I was saying was because I had the taxi waiting for me. I had to rush. And my room was somewhere like on the loft or somewhere I was staying. So the person turned to me and said, "Why can't you place them yourself?" Natural. Nobody asks anybody there to do these things. And I was really taken aback. And my first reaction was,
how rude.
How rude. And he's probably behaving like this because I'm Indian. So, and like I said, it was my first visit. I said, I'm sorry, but I'm getting late. That is why. So then he said, "Oh, well, in that case, I'll leave it here. When you come back, you take it." And as I learnt more, I realized that it was my fault. I did not know, I did not understand, and I should not be jumping. It was a perceived racism. And again, so many examples. Students have told me about how they were asked to leave a restaurant. So I had my colleague from the university with me, when she was listening to the story, and they said, "Were you just sitting around and did not order for a long time?" Now in India, you're sitting around and not order for half an hour. Nobody is going to say, "Are you going to order?" Or, you'll have to vacate the table. So, they were asked to leave because they were just not ordering. Or, they just had one drink and there were 7 of them or something like that. And that is unheard of. You can't go with a group of 7 people and just one person orders a drink and then occupy. That is unheard. You cannot do that in the UK. So again, perceived racism. If a group of English boys were sitting there and done that, they would have been asked to leave as well.
No, so well put. And in fact, this is very important. And I'm so glad we are talking this because we have talked very heavy and hi-fi things, very intellectual aspects, but similarly, these are the nuggets, which can make it, break it.
Yeah.
Because a same student or a family, if they go and, go and leave to go settle them and they see this kind of behavior, they're like, "Nahi, yaar, country sahi nahi hai, yaar." But every country is so different and also they are very straightforward. How can an Indian or international student get trained on these soft skills and communication level? Because no one tells this.
Yes, very few people tell this, and we touch upon it during our pre-departure events and all. But students are not really paying attention to that at that point because there's so much of excitement of travel and getting the visas, we are going and so on. So I know they're not paying attention, but nevertheless, I still talk about it.
There's a line which I learned in the morning: wisdom can't be taught.
Yes.
You need to learn your own mistakes and your own situation.
Absolutely. So there's some element which you can speak to students. But I think my advice to students would be that keep your eyes and ears open when you're going there. Don't, just go along with what you are used to and your ways of doing. Just keep your eyes open and be like a sponge to absorb all that you need to learn to be able to be a part of the international platform. I'm not saying British platform or, be a part of the British society. I'm not talking about it. My advice to student is up your game to be a international player now.
Global citizen.
A global citizen. That is where you have to up your game. And yes, you can learn some element while you're here, because students these days are very fortunate. There's so much information available. Go to the YouTube, talk about British culture and so on. You will learn a lot from that. But then there's nothing like experience.
Yeah,
so once
totally.
you are there, you keep your eyes, ears open. Make sure you absorb all the good things that are there like a sponge, and also make sure that you introduce it into your life. Small things like holding the door for somebody, maintaining a queue. It's not tough, but we are not used to it. I'm not
Yeah.
saying one way is good
Yeah,
or the
yeah,
other
yeah.
way
It's
is
about,
bad.
it's about
It's about
something in university living might not be right at probably Leeds Beckett. It's the nuances, culture, the way we bought, condition, and the situation.
yes,
इंडिया में अगर हम क्यू लगाते हैं, तो 2-4 लोग आगे आ जाते हैं. अब तुम या तो वेट करते रहो या
Yeah.
फिर आप लड़ोगे.
Yeah.
And because it's unfair.
Yes.
And then people like यार लड़ने से अच्छा है यार तू चला जा. And nothing right and wrong. Though it's not
Correct.
right, but that's the different nuances. And I'm not saying that no one is following queue in India,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
same Indians or same international students when they go to UK, they follow that tradition.
They follow.
And
yes.
That's with the beauty of a global citizen or a globalization or internationalization.
Correct. So that is how the students must learn, and they do.
They do.
Our Indian students are great.
Everyone.
They do that.
That's the beauty about. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, within
Please.
2
or 3 months of there,
2 days.
you can see how
Within 2 hours,
beautiful
the moment they
evolve.
land from
Yes.
from Heathrow and they are into immigration,
Yeah.
you see, at that time, the nerves होती है ना, तो लोग वैसे डर के खड़े रहते हैं. But
Yeah.
that's where the beauty. In the morning also I was discussing that why education, why study abroad. Because I mean, people will feel I will say about all good things about study
Yeah.
abroad because that's how we run our business. But I genuinely feel that there are so many students who will end up going abroad. So, but the thing is, the right students should go who can afford, who are prepared, or who are going with the right intent or the right
Yes.
regions. That's more
Yes.
important.
Yes.
Because there are lots of media reports and it's a fact. Lots of people are getting deported. Lots of people didn't get job. Lots of students struggle for accommodation. But rather than having a blanket statement, it's good or bad. It's like individual medicine or doctor, right? You need to understand whether you have the finances, why that course, how should one decide which university, which country, and which destination? Should someone decide basis country first, course first, and then finances? Let's say I want to now go back 20 years. I want to now decide whether I should do undergrad in India or I should do undergrad in US. How would you have counseled me?
So I think for a student, I think it's quite important to understand, to answer the question, why is one going abroad, right? And why does one, let's say somebody wants to study finance. Okay, so why am I going abroad? Why am I choosing my particular line of study as well? And I would place a larger emphasis on what you want to study and which university is good for you. So right now, I'm not even looking at finances. What really suits your family? Because as you know, in India, it is not a student's decision, but it is a family decision. So for some families, I have a very dear friend of mine who wants to send her daughter for studies abroad. And for her, so of course I say, hey, come to the UK. It's great. And of course, one of the reasons is my own comfort level is there. And if somebody dear to me would like to study abroad, I would say go to the UK because I know about what it is like and how comfortable a student can be. So, but no, our relatives are in Australia, so we want to send. So, the family decision also plays a role. So there's a certain comfort level where the family looks at. So you decide your course and your university. So similar to this question, people ask me, is USA better or is UK better? It depends which university you're going to, which course you're going
family to family.
And family to family.
If I have my family friends in New York, probably as a parent, I would prefer go to New York.
Yeah, perhaps.
Yeah.
Yes, perhaps. And then again, there is a balance there as well. So my family lives in Glasgow, and therefore I'm choosing to study in London. That does not make sense.
You have given me opportunity to talk about accommodation. So it's
Yeah.
my moral value. Understand to give you more about Leeds Beckett. No, just kidding.
So,
You don't need that platform. Even I need you to talk about things about us. So, but yeah.
We have some advantages. One of the advantages is, and you mentioned it, is that we have an absolutely fantastic network of alumni.
Mhm.
We have been around for long enough, and we have put in special effort to network with our alumni and keep them connected to Leeds Beckett. It is our effort. I'm not saying we are like 100% successful, but it is always our effort to keep a connect with our alumni. And why do we do it? Is because again, it is my personal thing, I should say. It's my personality coming into the job. Is that one of the things that I enjoy most about my work is following the journey of the students. Now, organically, what has happened is I didn't do it for that. I am interested in young minds and I'm interested in how they develop. But while doing that, I am also sometimes so pleasantly surprised to see what fantastic work our alumni are doing. The absolutely great places they are working, the impact they are making on workforce here.
You want to give some
And
examples?
yeah,
I'm sure you have multiple. So
I'll just come to that. And the kind of success stories that we carry. And I'm not saying other UK universities don't have the success stories.
Yeah. You're talking about yourself.
Large,
Yeah.
but I'm talking about us. And because of our connect, we have those stories to talk about. I have my alumni working for the big four.
Yeah.
And not one or two.
Many.
There are a number of them now working for the big four. Any industry you pick up, whether it is the service industry or the IT industry or continent you pick up.
And that's why a big shout out to Vita Student Living and also to all the team members in University Living. And I would tell every student that explore Vita through University Living, because it's not about for roof. It's about they offer breakfast.
Okay.
No accommodation partner outside. They break, and not fancy breakfast, but really good breakfast. But because they have also, it's a community driven. It's a space wherein they know how busy student life is. You can learn not in classes but also outside classes, and it's about people you are living with. The lifestyle. They have gyms. They have cinema halls. They have entrepreneur. Lots of things happening. Like they have these events happening every Saturday, every Friday, every Thursday. To combat homesickness.
Yes.
Someone like me who are like, यार पढ़ना क्यों है?
Valid question.
YouTube है, AI है, क्यों पढ़ना है? There are people who are saying AI will take jobs. There are people, there are 8 billion people. By the time there will be 10 billion people, right? There are AI agents coming, everything.
So we've all been through COVID. So पढ़ना क्यों है? Let me equate that to कि यूनिवर्सिटी क्यों जाना है? क्लासरूम्स क्यों जाना है? सब कुछ तो ऑनलाइन ही हो सकता है ना? Why do you need schools when COVID taught us that you can teach everything online?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Why do you need schools? But we have come to the conclusion that we need schools.
Degree में रही है same university की.
Yeah, but we need schools. We need that. We need that where your foundation years you are going into a certain pattern. It is again going back to what we said earlier. It is not only about what you learn as inside the classroom. It is also the skills that you pick up while you are part of a group, while you are, you interaction with groups. So again, when you can get all the information on YouTube or something, theory, you can get all the theory, Why do you need to go with this? It is the but can you hold a job, or can you do a job, or your employability, or even become an entrepreneur just with theoretical knowledge?
I agree.
You need your networking skills. You need that whole social environment to grow. Going to a university and getting that degree,
It's an experience.
it's an experience, and it is not an experience just for you to be happy about. It's an experience that gives you skills, that teaches you, and again, not only about employability, I'm saying to be a citizen, a good citizen
A
of
good
the
human being.
world.
Yeah. But what about if someone can't afford it? What do you advise to them?
Well, if you cannot afford it, these days people are very lucky that there is, yes, there are scholarships. Yes, there are a number of scholarships that are available across the board. But again, it's again not only about going abroad. Even if you have to live in India, you live with an open mind.
Whether study abroad, whether is Indian, you need to. Education is a skill. It's a leveler. It's still a superpower, right? On that note, I believe everyone talking employability. It's very very important. But how many people are taking employability and pains and doing it? It wasn't an easy task. I just took it and now realize, man, it's a heavy lifting. Someone asked me, I'll say book your accommodation as early as possible. You got a queue now. Anything.
Well, that's pretty conventional
People
in
are
my
not
book.
doing it.
People are not
Unfortunately,
doing
because we are
it.
not talking about it. Agents are not talking about it.
Yes.
Universities don't have time, or they shy away because that's not their core. But trust me, still people you book their accommodation when they land or they wait for visa. Here we say 98% visa success, 94% visa success.
Okay.
But
well,
yeah.
while I agree on that book your accommodation, that's very, very essential for students. But when I think about it, the unconventional advice that I can give students is probably very few people give this. Do volunteering. It will teach you so much. So doing a job is not only about earning
Money,
those
right.
pounds. Yes, do
Nice.
that as well. But if you have volunteering opportunities, it is a great way of experiencing the world. Yes.
Rapid fire. If you could redesign the education system for international students, what's the one thing you would change immediately?
Soft skills, more soft skills.
And why there is a gap?
Because we come from different cultural backgrounds and we require the soft skills to be an international player, at the risk of repeating myself.
Agree. If you could sit down with any global leader to discuss international education, who would it be? Mr. Trump?
Well, I think I would choose our own people, because if you really want to do something, then and we want to make a big impact, and I have this one chance, we can call Mr. Modi a global leader. So yes, I would sit down and have a conversation with him about the education system in India.
A career decision you were incredibly proud of. Moving from Maharashtra to Delhi?
A career decision I'm incredibly proud of is coming to Delhi.
No, totally agree. It can change. I mean, see, people say that mobility, it's not about studying abroad now, it's about mobility.
Yes.
And if you see, mobility being a so old concept, one Indian habit you just can't let go of, even after traveling to UK so often.
I can't say food. Definitely can't say food. I
You
enjoy
don't
food
tie up
there.
something to your suitcase, or it's very Indian.
No.
No.
No. I don't know.
Yeah.
No.
Probably.
Can't think
You
of
can think
anything.
over.
Sorry.
You can think over. Yeah. Finally, if you could go back and give one piece of advice to your 20-year-old self right before she stepped into the world of international education, what would you tell her?
All
You
right.
can talk to her.
I
rapid fire
would
or-
say keep going, girl.
Great. On that note, thank you. Thank you so much for your time and being so open and candid. Thank you so much.